Hey, it's Chris from WIZZFX. Finished a Hits Radio sponsorship music and vocal production package just recently. Really happy with how it turned out. Thought it might be neat to jump into one of the pieces and work through some processing in it. In this case, drum bus processing, which is one of my favorite things to do. I've grabbed samples from all over the place to create this drum like set or kit, I guess. Some EQ, some reverb and bits and pieces already on the samples, but I want to glue them all together so they feel like they're from one kit in one place, and I want to make them feel like they're a massive EDM, I guess, sound, or a kind of big pop drum sound, dance drum sound. You can see the plugins that I've used on the screen. What I'm going to do is work through each one by one so you can understand what's going on. Let's check out the drum loop before any bus processing. Cool, all right. So, a little bbit of harshness on that cymbal crash when it comes in, and some of those claps around sort of the 6.5K region. And I know that because that's how I've set this de-esser up. I want that to just control that frequency around that time so that it's not too harsh when it occurs. So I'll play it through so you can see that in action. So it's quite subtle, but as I add more plugins and things get louder, it's keeping it under control now. So the next thing I've done is I've really sculpted the sound of the drums with FabFilter Satin. So I've pulled the bass right out of it, 4 dB reduction of bass. I've not added really any, see, I'm not really adding anything anywhere else, maybe a little bit of tops, but really everything else is quite level. But there's a lot of saturation in this low mid range, sort of, you go between 166 and 500 hertz. Then the upper mids, I'm compressing them with this dynamics knob. A little bit of drive with a warm tube feel, but I'm not going too mental, and I'm not doing all that much in the top end. So let's hear that. Cool. Okay, so that sort of really brought out that mid-range and added some extra weight and grit to it. The next thing I want to do is use some standard compression just to glue things together and get a little bit of smack. So I've reached for a really cool UAD plugin, the Neve 33609. Love this plugin for drums. I've grabbed the glue it together preset and I've tweaked it ever so slightly because what I want to do is glue it together. So let's hear that in action. That feels really big to me, but I need to go bigger because this is sort of an EDM pop feel. So that's why I've used OTT. This is going OTT, so I've had to really pull things back a little bit in terms of upward and downward compression and the depth of it. I've really kind of pulled these percentages back, but I've added a little bit of bass back in here because this is the time I want to, because if I have too much bass running into my compression before, it's going to pump the compressors too hard, which is why I've sort of pulled it out with FabFilter Satin before it feeds into the Neve. But now, this is sort of the last compressor in the chain, I suppose. So I want to add this back in with this multi-band compression to get that weight in there. Let's hear how that sounds. There's a lot of weight in there, really big now. It's really brought together all the sounds and made them fill the spectrum of the frequency spectrum right up, like an EDM kit might do. So then the last thing I've done is just some subtle EQing here with the Pro Q2 rolling off the subs, the very, very low sort of 20 hertz or so, and the very, very top stuff that I don't need, and just bringing a little bit of shelf down from sort of 6.5K, just a little bit more, just to keep things under control. Cool. You can see I've also sort of pulled the output volume down a little bit on that, just to keep things level so it's not too mental. Let me play it through again. This time when I play it through, I'll have all of the plugins off and I'll let it loop around, And then on the second pass, I'll start turning all the plugins back on so you can hear the effect that each one has.